Hello, everyone. Welcome to Complete Farmer Live webinar. We are excited to be your host for today. My name is Kelvin Bwamponsen.
And I'm Miriam Stanley. Thank you all for joining us once again. We are hosting this webinar in partnership with Disengolf and EOS. Disengolf has a special package for people who sign up to our Grower Model. So if you're a farmer here, you sign up to our Grower Model and you enjoy discounts from Disengolf Ghana. We hope today's webinar will exceed your expectation. Try to stick to the very end of today's event to win amazing prizes from us.
Yes, so our grower platform is live and we are currently onboarding growers. This platform gives farmers access to our data-driven cultivation protocols, and then it also connects you to buyers all around the world.
Please check the chat box for the link to our grower model or visit our website, www.completefarmer.com, to sign up on our grower model. Our buyer model also allows buyers all over the world to source commodities from Complete Farmer. So right from food production to shipment, Complete Farmer handles everything for you. We provide a transparent channel for you as a buyer, to track your products from production to delivery.
At this juncture, we would like to invite our CEO, Desmond Pony, to give us the welcome address. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say a big welcome to this webinar. I'm very happy personally to see this come up live and for us to get these conversations and this dialogue going. So to just start off, I'd like to say a very big thank you to all of you that have made the time to join us. I know you've taken time off your precious day to change the way food is being produced in Ghana and across Africa. I would also like to say a big thank you to my dedicated team that have been working to put this together. The team has been at work building the platform, and this platform has been built from experience. So the team has had to immerse themselves into the agricultural value chain to get a deeper understanding of how we digitize Africa's agricultural value chain and how we make this much more efficient for all the stakeholders involved. So we've gone ahead to build a platform where buyers are able to connect directly with African farmers, and both of them are able to access inputs and services from vendors to achieve the supply chain functions that they need to do. So the team has been very much at work. There's been lots of sleepless hours, but their dedication is paying off. We like where we are headed. We've gotten a lot of clarity. And we thank you also for cheering us on in the direction that we've headed. So I'm really happy to see this webinar coming together. It's been a lot of work in the background, like I've said. But most importantly for us is to start these conversations on how to get the most out of the soil when it comes to farming in Africa. And I think this is something that needs to, this is a constant dialogue that needs to keep going on. For most of the farmers and people who are even looking to start farming in Africa, to really understand what or the processes that food goes through before it gets to our plates and really care about it. One of the things that we pride ourselves, or one of the problems that we are really focused on solving at Complete Farmer, is to ensure that we create a world that everyone is able to afford nutritious food on their table. And to be able to do this, we need everyone involved, because the agricultural value chain is a very long value chain. You have your input providers, you have your farmers, you have the logistic companies, and we all sort of play a role to ensuring that there's food for tomorrow. And so in this same light and with these same conversations, I'm very happy to see that this is started. Let's see if we can build some meaningful solutions from these conversations and also make a meaningful impact. And for some of you looking to start your farming journey, you are welcome to talk to Complete Farmer to find out what and how we can make farming much more efficient for you and basically capitalize on the benefits of the agricultural value chain. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very happy session. And let's keep these conversations going on. Please take out your phone and tweet the conversations and share the insights that you are getting with some of your friends. And let's make Africa the home that feeds the world. Thank you very much and have a good session. All the best, guys.
Special thanks to our CEO for such an interesting and welcome address. I believe it's important that we all get involved in the agriculture value chain. So our grower model gives you the opportunity to contribute to food production in Africa and beyond. Visit www.completefarmer.com to sign up as a grower if you are interested in our grower model. Please don't forget to tweet at us with the hashtag CFLIVEWEBINAR. Let us know what you think about today's session. Let us know what your expectations are and how the whole experience is going for you. Thank you. So without wasting my time, we'll just zoom straight into our first session for today. Our first session is going to focus on the proven strategies for effective crop rotation. And we know that crop rotation has been regarded by many successful farmers as a way to nurture your land and to increase your crop yield. And it is important that as farmers in this era, we adhere to certain practices that will help us improve our farmland and also increase our yield. Our panelists are major stakeholders in the agriculture value chain who have had immense experience in crop rotation and other issues relating to agriculture. Our panelists include Louise Paddy, our chief agronomist here at Complete Farmer, Emmanuel Sarkodie, who is a seed business development representative for UPL, and Gugulethu Mahlangu, who is an aquaponics horticulturist and the founder of Farm Spaces. They are already here with us. So without wasting my time, I believe we can begin today's conversation. Hello, Paddy. Hello, Louise, can you hear us?
Hello, Miriam, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello, Gugulethu. Whilst we wait for Gugulethu to join us,
Hi,
Mr.
Miriam, how are
Sarkodie.
you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you too. Great. So whilst we wait for Mr. Emmanuel Sarkodie to join us, who is the seed development representative of UPL, we'll just zoom straight into our conversation. Now, the whole conversation for today's first session is going to be based on crop rotation, because we know that as new farmers and existing farmers, sometimes there are certain things we are doing that may not be right. So before we delve deep into it, can you just tell us what crop rotation is about and why you believe is relevant for you, Louise Paddy?
Thank you, Miriam. Crop rotation is, in simple terms, trying to say you're rotating the crops. So I should say it in simple ways. So you move the crop from one place to another. So in the strict sense, that's what you can say. But it's basically a bit of intentional. So you don't do it just because it happened randomly. No, you intentionally want to rotate the crops, and you rotate the crops on the same piece of land, or let's say a land that is not from one block to another. So it's like you're doing it as you have an acre of land and you are having different types of crops on it, but you're doing it sequentially, but with intention. So that is basically, if we're talking about crop rotation, it is. So at a point in time, you can have more than one crop on the land, but then you will have the intention of rotating it or moving it from where it used to be to another place, which has a reason to it, which probably during the discussion will have a reason to all these things. Thank you.
And before we let our audience know what exactly crop rotation is about, Gugulethu, can you tell us why you believe crop rotation is an important or a relevant crop practice?
Thank you so much, Miriam. I hope you guys can hear me. Sorry, I don't know what's saying. You know, crop rotation has been, it's an ancient practice. It's been something we have been using without really under benefits to it. And the importance of crop rotation, first one, is to increase soil fertility. This is a method that as agriculturists and agronomists, we use it. We want to bring back soil nutrition that has been depleted with our growing cycle. So that is the most important thing. So that just can bring back nutrition, especially if you're planting, for example, cash crops like spinach. They deplete a lot of nitrogen. Follow next time you plant on that same plot of spinach that you were planting, you fix it with a nitrogen plant as legumes or beans. So it's kind to bring back the nutrients that we take out, essentially, and that's why it's so important. Just one crop in the same place, depleting nutrients, exhausting the soil, and essentially mining the soil, which is what we don't want as a responsible.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm happy you talked about the nutrients that farmers can receive from practicing crop rotation. However, we believe that having a well-structured plan, even on the farm, is one of the things that increases your crop yield. So as farmers with so many years of experience, I know, Calli, you've also been a farmer, and Gugulethu, you're also a farmer. Which advice, or how do you think farmers should structure a crop rotation plan even before they begin their crop rotation journey? What goes into the whole consideration process and the planning process before you begin your crop rotation? Let's begin with Louise.
Okay, thank you. As I said early on, it's an intentional something, and it has reasons for trying to do that. Gugulethu was trying to elogize on some of the things that actually would come. So he talked about the nitrogen in the soil that the plant is even depleting. So it's something that you have to ask yourself, that the plants that I am planting, is it going to use all the nutrients in the soil, or it's going to leave some at the end of the day? So what happens is that plants take nutrients at different levels. You know, every plant and their root system in terms of how far they can go or how shallow they can go. So when you have a plant and then it has a deeper root, you should expect that maybe part of the land or the soil where it's taking the nutrients will not be the same as a plant that has a, let's say, a shallow root. Again, some plants are heavy feeders. Okay, when they step on the land, they really enjoy every bit and piece of the land. So when you are planting such a crop, you should know that the next time I'm going to keep on planting the same, then it will happen that the first crop will not have much to actually enjoy because the first one has actually enjoyed much of it. So in considering trying to practice crop rotation as a system, you should consider the type of crop you are going to be planting. And I will always, at any point in time, consider markets, because agriculture, whether we like it or yes, it's market oriented. You don't plant because of luxury. The only time you may want to plant and not use it is when you want to allow the nutrient to incorporate itself back into the soil. But about 90% time, you would want profit. So you want to cultivate. Yes, we said that you plant different type of crops on the same piece of land, but you ask yourself, So I plant tomatoes, I plant pepper, I plant maybe cucumbers. Where am I selling them when they are ready? So you need to know that, yes, I have these markets. I have, let's say, maize market. I have sweet potato market. I have ginger market. I have this, but I don't have sugarcane market. I don't have pawpaw market. You don't go and plant the pawpaw whilst you not get market for it. And then after you go looking for it. So you have to come from the market section. So what do I have in terms of the market, the crops I want to do? So I have series of crops that I want to do. Then I see how then do I rotate it. So I always say that you always come from the market level, because if you just want to say that, okay, I want to plant it because they say crop rotation is good, you will end up planting and then you will incur a lot of cost. Again, you have to look at, as I said, the feeding levels of the various crops that you're going to do. There are some crops that belong to the same family. And if you speak with your agronomist as a farmer or the extension officer, he should be able to tell you that, okay, there are crops that are probably in the same family like the Solanaceae. They are in the same family like the cucumbers. So when you are planting a particular type of crop, so I have to do cucumber, I have to do watermelon, they all belong to the cucumbers. How do I have to apportion myself such that I don't actually mess the whole cropping cycle up? So you have to know the type of crop, the family in which they are, because I know Sarkodie might even talk about it. Some pests are predominant in one. So when you leave them in that soil and you are planting the same, so they are happy and they are waiting for you to come and then they enjoy it. So you have to consider the succession, the type of crop you are doing at that particular point in time, so that you will be able to mitigate or do away with some of the negative effects that is associated with crop rotation. Yeah. Again, you have to look at timing. You know, timing is very, very important because some crops mature earlier than others. So when you don't know when your crop is maturing, and then you leave the land there, and then after some time, you don't know what you're going to do with the part. Because remember, as we said, it's not on different parts of, or different, one land is in Ghana, another part is in Nigeria. Like, it's the same piece of land. You are trying to maximize everything that you can get from it. So you need to get your timing right. You need to know the type of crop you are doing, and then you need to know their feeding levels. So that's what I'll say for now concerning the factors that you need to really consider when you're trying to incorporate crop rotation into your farming system.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Luis, for that. What about you, Gugulethu? What do you think are some of the basic things that farmers should consider before they begin their crop rotation journey? So we'll be back to that question with Gugulethu. But as we are having this discussion, if you have any question for our panelists, please drop it in the chat box and we'll read it out for our panelists to also share their opinion on whatever issue you are facing with on your farm. So another thing that we mentioned, I can see our other panelist is here now, Mr. Emmanuel Sarkodie, who is the seed representative and the seed management representative of UPL. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Am I audible?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Very good. I was connected, but it looks like I was having some challenges. So I was following what my colleagues, Paddy, and then the other name, I'm forgetting it, they were talking about. I think they are on point. Okay. So if you could give me the platform, I don't know, then I could also go through with what I have, but mine will be biased towards how we could use the crop rotation to actually control or manage the pests and then the weeds. So as we all know, crop rotation is very key in crop production, and it's simply the cultivation of different crops in a specific order on the same field, which sometimes include a fallow period. And this is done for a number of reasons. I heard one of the panelists talking about nutrient management. So it's true, it increases soil fertility, it increases crop yield as well, and then also reduce erosion, limit concentration of pests and diseases, and also reduce the stress of weeds. So there are a number of benefits and in crop rotation in terms of controlling weeds. Crop rotation has been proven to be one of the key strategies to control weeds in Africa, and also also an effective tool in managing disease and pest. So I would throw some highlights on some of the principles that are ideal, or that is very key in managing some of these disease and pests. Yeah. For what we know, one of the principles is you shouldn't allow crop of the same family.
Hello, Mr. Emmanuel Sarkodie.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, your sound is a bit low, so our attendees are having a challenge with hearing you.
Okay, I think I'm using a earpiece. Let me see if I...
Okay.
Hello, Miriam. Am I okay now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I was using a earpiece, which was not...
Yeah. So in your submission, your earlier submission, one thing that kept on running through was pest and disease and pest and weeds management. And we know this is also a struggle for most farmers, including new farmers who are new to the whole business of crop rotation. Now, Louise also mentioned that it's important that before you start your crop rotation journey, you have a clear idea of the kind of crop you are planting and how exactly you'll be rotating those kind of crops. So my question is, how do we use crop rotation to manage pests and weeds on the farm? Are there any principles that farmers need to pay attention to manage pests and weeds during crop rotation?
Yeah, the first key point that I think Louise was trying to put across was the choice of the crops. So, for example, if you choose crops of the same family to follow each other, you are likely to have a big challenge, especially, let's say, I cultivated sweet pepper and I followed with, let's say, tomato or eggplant. For example, if my sweet pepper had issue with thrips and mite, it's possible the next crop, which is of the same family or the same species, could also have a big challenge. So choice of crops is very key in terms of managing the pest. Normally, when we talk of pest, it doesn't refer to only the insect pests. You know, all these fungal diseases are caused by pathogens, which are also pests. In actual fact, the activities leads to these diseases. So normally, it's good to choose crops to follow each other. I mean, your succession should be very good to actually break the cycle. If you choose crops that insects do not really affect in your next line of production, you are likely to reduce the pest or the pathogen population, which in a way you are actually controlling the pests and diseases.
Gugulethu, are you with us? Yes, she's here now. Yeah, we can hear you, Gugulethu. Please go on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, on the pest and diseases and weed question, that is essentially what the benefit of crop rotation is. You know, similar plants, or rather the same families of plants, they tend to have the same pathogens. So therefore, crop rotations, you know, it breaks the pest life cycle, and they have used to be planting spinach all over again. The pests are very they know my permanent home. So cycle entails similar events that happen in constant rotation, meaning that you are going to break the infestation of pests and diseases in that season that you are planting. So I must see a decrease in a high events of insects and pests and pathogens where they do crop rotation. That is why crop rotation is so important. And I believe that as a farmer, when you are aware of kinds of pests and diseases that break out at a given time of the year and the crops affected, you know, you can plant the host plant at a different season with instances of infestation. So it really was a risk of getting plants infected and disease. And it's very important so that, you know, crop rotation is one of your IPA. They're so quick to rush to chemicals and synthetic fertilizers and inputs when, we just need to give our land a break. And I just wanted to maybe speak on, give examples of crop rotation. So I know that there's disease-causing spores, or rather soil-dwelling organisms like cutworms, root knot nematodes. Those can occur in winter. It's winter now, and it can occur in your soil. So pounce on their septum, So what you need to do is that growing of a different, less susceptible crop, and you can just waiting to best plan. Another example that I can give, and last is powdery mildew, right? Example, I planted marrows, and they were infected with powdery mildew during the growing season. What do I need to do as a farmer now? I need to try to plant something less susceptible to mildew, such as peppers or beans or cabbage in that family. So it's very wise to, as a farmer, think about crop rotation as an integral part of your pest control. I definitely encourage it, and it's that farmers and it breaks cycles, it improves your nutrients, and it's definitely something that you should consider and you should do. You can start by just doing a rotation. You don't need to say a farmer and you can think for the next 4 years, but just start for 1 year. Think about it as winter, it's spinach, next time doing beans. Just continuously plant different families within the same. To yield the mic.
Thank you for that. My key takeaway from what that you said was, one, researching is important, that you research and you know the kind of crop you are going into for crop rotation, like Louise also said. And it's okay to also practice at least for the first year to see how things go, to get the feedback and know how to go forward. We have some questions in our chat box, which I would like us to answer.
Before the question, I want our listeners to also understand that, pests are very comfortable organisms, if I should say. Okay, it's like how we used to electricity. They barely move or change their attitude because of a particular system. So they are mostly comfortable with the type of crop that they are enjoying. So if they are enjoying pepper, they will really enjoy it. So if you give them something that is different, by the time they get adapted, probably the life cycle of that particular thing is even off the field. So it's one of the advantages. So I just wanted to add to what Gugulethu and then Emma had already said concerning the pests. And another thing is that with respect to the weeds, in crop rotation, it gives you the room to incorporate a bit of livestock farming into it. Okay, so you introduce the animals in there. For instance, if you have cattle, if you have sheep, any of the ruminants, even sometimes chicken, they can pick some weeds from the field, which would actually help you in controlling some of the weeds that you have on your field. So it's a good system that we have to encourage people to practice.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much, Louise, for that. And please don't forget to tweet at us live with your hashtag CFLIVEWEBINAR. Let us know what you've learned from everything that's been shared now, and let us know anything you want us to also implement going forward. So to read the first question here, Francis John says that, hello, what if you are focusing on a precise crop for your business? Okay, this question would be, yeah, let's focus on the crop rotation question, then we'll move to the next one. Now, how can we relate intercropping to crop rotation in our farms? How can we relate intercropping to crop rotation in our farms? Any of our panelists can take that question.
Okay, so crop rotation, I would say it's a form of intercropping, because if you have the same piece of land, okay, and then you are having the crops there, that's in the general sense, because strict intercropping, you have the plants a bit closer to each other. So it's something that you can do, just that you have to know that the portion of the land that you have farmed a particular type of produce, or let's say crop, should not be followed by the same type of crop. Again, you have to look at the distance between some of the crops. So if you remember, Sarkodie was even saying, you have to even sometimes leave a portion of the land fallow. You know, we're trying to break a cycle, one of pest and disease as well. We're trying to increase the soil biomass. We're trying to help the soil rest and regenerate itself. So if you are doing intercropping, you just have to make sure that, in assuming you did cowpea on a row, or let's say on a strand of the plot, you don't have to plant another cowpea when you are doing another type of, let's say, crop rotation. So it's in a bit works hand in hand with one another. So you can have the same there. So in the broader sense, crop rotation is like a mixed farming sort of, or mixed cropping sort of thing on the land. So probably I guess it's answered for it.
Great. So our next question, okay, Emmanuel, Sarkodie has something to say. Sir, please, you can go on.
Yeah, just to add to what Louise is saying, intercropping, crop rotation, they are just together, because you could have your land very big, you divide into plots, then you name them. Probably you are doing the same production on the same land, just that you align them in a system that this plant is on this number of this plot, another plant, and you rotate it similar, like you are practicing crop rotation. So they are not too different. They are just in the same basket, but depending on how you organize them in a specific way, and then applying the principles that are involved in crop rotation.
Thank you for that. Gugulethu, please, you can go on too.
Thank you so much. To add on to what our speakers were saying, I think that the only difference between crop rotation and intercropping is just the diversification, because with cropping, you are alternating crops mixed together. So if you're doing your onions and tomatoes, you are on your next block, you're going to maybe have your herbs, for example. Whereas with crop rotation, it's one at a time or per season. So it's something you might get confused by, but it's just good to remember that it's two crops with crop rotation at a time.
Great. So our next question is from Isaac Kwanzaa, and his question is: if I'm into crop farming such as coconut, how best can I practice crop rotation?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I think probably in the explanation we left out something. There are some crops that in by itself you can't rotate them. Okay, so like that's coconut, that's like a perennial type of crop. So it stands there, okay? But then you can do a bit of, the coconut comes with spacing. Okay, but you can't be moving the coconut, because the coconut can take like more than 10 years, 20 years. So you don't have to be moving the coconut and starting all over before it starts giving you, the coconut fruit for you to start enjoy. It's like saying that, how do I do the same thing with cocoa? Cocoa can stand for like 30 years. So you can't be moving them. But then especially with respect to coconut, the spaces that are left in there, you can actually harness that and plant crops that are, let's say, 1 season, 2 season, and then you can easily be rotating the crop. But the coconut itself, and then other crops like the mangoes, cocoa, coffee, and all that, you can't do that type of crop rotation with them. So that's what I can say too.
So we are wrapping up. Other speakers also have, other speakers will also speak. But for attendees, please leave your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll read your questions out live. And please tweet at us at #CFLIVEWEBINAR. So briefly from Gugulethu and Emmanuel, we'll go with you, Emmanuel. Please let us know what you think too. Hello, Emmanuel Sarkodie.
Yeah, sorry, Miriam, on the same topic. Hello?
Yeah, on the question on the coconut.
The same question.
Yeah.
I said it all because looking at the nature of coconut, those are a tree crop, and you could plant probably some crops that could mature within a short time and rotate it, and you still have it the same as crop rotation, because the coconut have its zone of feeding, probably if they grow, and then if you're also planting maize or vegetables, they also have their way of development, and then the kind of pests and disease that could actually affect it. So you need to plan it. If the coconut is on a bigger plot, you could divide it into plots and then rotate the crops in between them until the canopies are enough to prevent you from other productions.
Yeah, thank you for that. So Gugulethu also give us her response.
Hi, Miriam. With regards to the question, I'm not too clued up about it. I know that it is a tropical fruit. I am sure I've seen this many times that farmers are growing coconuts and they also growing bananas. So it's coconut and bananas. So crop rotation for coconuts, I'm not too sure, but I think our speakers did well to answer that question.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Gugulethu. So to wrap up, can you all just, I know you said so much about crop rotation, and for new farmers, this has been the opportunity to learn what goes into planning of crop rotation. And for existing farmers, it has been an opportunity to also know where we are falling short and how to change it. So to wrap up, Louise, Emmanuel, and Gugulethu, can you give us your final words on the topic of crop rotation? And for our attendees, please stick and stay for the next session as well. It's going to be interesting with more insights for us all to learn. So just your final words.
Okay, so to say final words, I feel crop rotation is very essential to agriculture. It comes with a lot of advantages, and I think somebody was even asking the question about following the rooting system. You get to understand the plants with which that you are working with. So crop rotation will increase your yield. It will help you to decrease your disease and infestation level. But the last of it that I would say is on the ground of economists. In agriculture, in Africa and Ghana specifically, the risks are too many. Crop rotation is going to help you mitigate a bit of it. So if you have pepper, if you have sweet potato, if you have cucumber, if you have spinach, if pepper doesn't do well for you, sweet potato will work for you. If sweet potato doesn't do well for you, maize will do well for you. So in the economics of it, you are always covered at any point in time, and you don't lose everything at a go. So that's what I'll leave with our viewers and our listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Louise. What about you, Emmanuel?
Okay, so I'll say crop rotation is a way to go because it's very simple and cheap, and it's a way of securing your investment, reducing your cost of production, because if you need a lot of money to purchase fertilizer, fertilizer issues are no-go area now, and agro inputs are actually increasing. So I would say that it's an effective way to actually protect your crops and then also secure your investment.
Thank you. What about you, Gugulethu?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm a huge fan of crop rotation. You know, when you think about it, crop rotation, it's almost like succession planting. I can give an example of a tomato. A tomato will stay in its place for many months. You know, when you planting your beets, lettuce, your carrots, they will only remain in your field for a short time. So if you plant another vegetable after each of these short crops, you are planting, you are planting a differently in that space. You are rotating, meaning you are so much more. And I think one of our speakers was speaking about the market. You are accessing different markets in your small piece of land in different seasons. So the point here is that, you can grow more food while also taking care of your soil. And that is what is most important about crop rotation. It's the soil fertility. So you are mindful of from these, and you are getting more your soil is bringing back your micronutrients, you are fixating nitrogen. So you think about it holistically, that crop rotation is a system that can prevent input costs, and it's also a system that can help you get more out of your soil. And I am an advocate for it, to do it, and farmers should research more about the benefit of the crops that they are planting and what they're doing to their. So I yield the mic. Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you very much, Gugulethu. And that has been an insightful conversation. I've learned so much. But for our attendees that may seem to be bombarded with so much information, especially if you're a new farmer, our Complete Farmer Grower model has agronomists who are well-trained and have all the knowledge about such practices, such as crop rotation. So you do not have to worry about doing your own research and learning about such practices. Complete Farmers agronomy team handles such issues for you. So if you're a grower on our grower model, all these and other things that concerns your farm is well taken care of. You can sign up by visiting www.completefarmer.com or simply clicking on the link in our chat room to sign up to our grower model. That was such an interesting conversation. So I'd like to thank our speakers, Emmanuel, Sarkodie, Gugulethu for joining us all the way from out of Ghana, and Louise as well for everything you shared with us. I hope our farmers are leaving here with so much tips. If we did not read all your questions, our next session is also going to be a follow-up where we are going to learn the secrets to increasing farm yield in a cost-effective way. So if you're a farmer that you are looking for a way to increase your cost yield, this session is for you. So stick and stay. And don't forget that when you stay to the end of the session, you stand a chance of winning prizes from our partners, that is Dizengolf and EOS. Thank you once again, Gugulethu. Thank you, Emmanuel. And thank you, Louise. And we'll move straight into our next session.